Imagine scrolling through your phone and suddenly seeing images that don't match the headlines you're used to. Instead of reports of attacks, displacement, and crisis, you see armored vehicles rolling in formation, fighter aircraft on display, newly acquired drones, and a young military leader standing confidently before his troops. For many around the world, this was unexpected. Burkina Faso, a country often portrayed as overwhelmed by insecurity, was suddenly presenting itself as armed, organized, and determined. This display was not accidental, and it was not meant only for domestic consumption. It was a message carefully crafted and deliberately sent to the world. In recent days, Burkina Faso has drawn international attention after publicly showcasing a range of military equipment under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traore. Videos and images circulated widely on Google searches, YouTube, and social media platforms, showing equipment that symbolized strength, readiness, and modernization. Armored vehicles, artillery systems, air assets, and disciplined troops were presented as evidence of a new phase in the country's security posture. For a nation that has spent years fighting violent insurgency and grappling with political instability, this moment marked a shift in narrative. Burkina Faso's security challenges are well documented. For more than a decade, armed extremist groups linked to global terror networks have expanded their reach across the Sahel, targeting civilians, military installations, and local authorities. Large areas of the country have faced displacement, school closures, and economic disruption. Previous governments, despite significant international support, struggled to contain the violence. This failure eroded public trust and fueled frustration, especially among young people and soldiers on the front lines. It was within this climate that Ibrahim Traore emerged as a central figure. Rising to power amid widespread dissatisfaction, he positioned himself as a leader determined to break with what he described as ineffective strategies of the past. From his earliest public addresses, Traore emphasized sovereignty, national dignity, and self-reliance. The military showcase fits squarely into this narrative. By displaying equipment and operational capacity, his administration is signaling that Burkina Faso intends to take control of its own security and redefine how it is perceived both regionally and globally. The equipment on display was notable not only for its quantity but also for what it represented politically. Analysts have observed that Burkina Faso appears to be diversifying its military partnerships, moving away from reliance on traditional Western allies and exploring cooperation with new partners. This aligns with a broader trend across parts of West Africa, where several governments have expressed frustration with long-standing security arrangements that failed to deliver lasting stability. The message being sent is clear: Burkina Faso is asserting its right to choose its allies and chart its own path. Domestically, the response to the military display has been largely positive among supporters of the current leadership. For many citizens, especially those who feel abandoned by previous administrations, the images inspire pride and hope. In a country where morale has been battered by years of violence, the psychological impact of seeing a well-equipped and confident military should not be underestimated. Supporters argue that this sense of national confidence is essential in a prolonged fight against insurgent groups that thrive on fear and perceived weakness. However, reactions outside the country have been more cautious. Some international observers warn that military hardware alone cannot resolve deeply rooted security problems. They point out that Burkina Faso still faces significant challenges related to training, logistics, intelligence coordination, and civil-military relations. Others emphasize that sustainable peace will require not only military action but also political dialogue, economic opportunity, and reconciliation in affected communities. Even so, many acknowledge that the decision to publicly showcase military capability is a calculated move intended to reshape perceptions. The timing of this display is particularly significant. West Africa is undergoing a period of rapid change, marked by coups, shifting alliances, and debates over the future of regional institutions. Burkina Faso, along with Mali and Niger, has become part of a bloc of countries that openly question the effectiveness of existing security frameworks. By showing military strength at this moment, Traore's government is reinforcing its position within this broader realignment and signaling that it is prepared to defend its choices. Ibrahim Traore himself has become a symbol within this context. As one of the youngest leaders on the global stage, his image resonates strongly with a generation that feels disconnected from traditional political elites. Standing alongside modern military equipment, he presents himself as a leader of action, discipline, and resolve. His rhetoric often invokes sacrifice and national unity, themes that carry particular weight in a country that has lost thousands of lives to conflict. The military display amplifies this image, projecting authority and confidence. The message directed at armed groups operating within Burkina Faso is unmistakable. By highlighting military readiness and new capabilities, the government is attempting to deter attacks and signal its intention to reclaim territory. Whether this strategy will significantly alter conditions on the ground remains uncertain. Insurgent conflicts are complex, and victories are rarely achieved through force alone. Nevertheless, the psychological dimension of the display is critical. Insurgent movements often rely on narratives of state collapse. Publicly challenging those narratives is a strategic move. At the same time, the display sends a signal to foreign governments and international organizations. Burkina Faso is making it clear that it will not be easily pressured or isolated. The underlying message is that engagement with the country must recognize its sovereignty and evolving priorities. For some partners, this may require recalibrating diplomatic and security relationships. For others, it may prompt concern about the long-term implications of militarization in a fragile region. Economic considerations also loom large in this discussion. Military equipment requires substantial investment not only to acquire but also to maintain and operate. Burkina Faso faces economic constraints, high levels of poverty, and significant humanitarian needs. Critics argue that resources devoted to defense could strain public finances and divert attention from social services. Supporters counter that without improved security, economic development is impossible. This debate reflects a broader tension faced by many conflict-affected states. Another important aspect of this moment is its impact on regional dynamics. Neighboring countries are watching closely, as changes in Burkina Faso's security posture could influence cross-border cooperation and conflict patterns. A stronger, more assertive Burkina Faso could contribute to regional stability if it successfully contains insurgent activity. Conversely, miscalculations or escalation could have spillover effects. The balance between deterrence and diplomacy will be crucial in the months ahead. International media coverage of the military showcase has already begun to shift the narrative around Burkina Faso. While the country remains associated with insecurity, it is now also being discussed in terms of agency and strategic intent. This change in perception matters. How a country is seen can influence investment, diplomacy, and the willingness of partners to engage constructively. Traore's government appears keenly aware of this and is using imagery and messaging to shape the conversation. Still, the road ahead is uncertain. Military strength, while important, is only one component of national resilience. Long-term stability will depend on governance reforms, inclusion of marginalized communities, and rebuilding trust between the state and its citizens. The military display may buy time and confidence, but it will ultimately be judged by results on the ground. Citizens who support the current leadership will expect tangible improvements in safety and daily life. As the images of Burkina Faso's military equipment continue to circulate, they raise fundamental questions about power, sovereignty, and security in today's world. They challenge assumptions about who controls the narrative and how smaller nations can assert themselves in a complex global landscape. For Burkina Faso, this moment represents both an opportunity and a test. The opportunity lies in redefining its role and restoring confidence. The test lies in translating symbolism into sustainable progress. What cannot be denied is that Burkina Faso has succeeded in capturing attention. The message sent was loud and clear. The country intends to stand firm, defend its choices, and demand respect. Whether the world listens and how it responds will shape the next chapter of this unfolding story. If you want to stay informed about how this situation develops and what it means for West Africa and beyond, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it with others who want deeper insight into global affairs. Leave your thoughts in the comments and join the conversation, because understanding these moments is key to understanding the future being shaped right now.